What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor Season 50. Today we're talking about episode 4. So my name is Rachel, and today we are here not with Alyssa, but with a very special guest, Flynn Masters.
What's going on, everyone?
Yeah, I guess do you want to introduce yourself? I'm not actually sure if you've ever been on here. I feel like we've only ever collabed with you and Russell on
Right.
last channels.
So, of course, yeah, of course, I originally, well, I don't know how much of you guys on the Survivor Scholars channel know about me, but yeah, of course, started as a Survivor YouTuber and then which is how I met Rachel and we did all those collabs, which has been what, almost 2.5 years ago, 3.5 years ago since all of that. That's wild. Oh my God, that's scary. But yeah, and around that time is also ironically when I kind of switched my content up to Hell's Kitchen and MasterChef and more so Gordon Ramsay shows. And I do Survivor from time to time over those years. I actually did I never said this live before, but I actually did kind of get burnt out on Survivor a bit during the 48 and 49 era. But with Survivor 50 coming back, I had to see these legends come back and the new era legends come back. And whatever you think about this season, I certainly maybe have kind of been a little bit underwhelmed by it, but it is just so cool to see all these legends back. And I'm glad to be watching it live. And yeah, my first time talking about Survivor 50 and my first time talking about Survivor in a long time. So I'm excited for this, Rachel. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, wow. So then basically, this is like you're coming back to talking about Survivor on the internet. So that's pretty
Yeah,
exciting.
good way to put it. Yeah.
So I guess you sort of talked about your overall thoughts on the season so far, but if you wanted to add anything else.
Yeah, and going back to where I'm still kind of a little bit, maybe not quite as into Survivor as I once was. Maybe I if I was totally in that fandom, they're just like, oh my God, this is so amazing. But again, with the and like I said, I can't really blame them too much with the editors and all that stuff. There's 24 people you got to cover, So, and when you have someone like Coach on the season, if we got to spend more time on him compared to like bless her heart, like Tiffany or Genevieve, I can't really blame them for that, right? But it does, kind of make for, we'll talk about some of the boots today, but like someone like Angelina, just like, boy, we waited so long for her to come back. And I guess not super long, but man, we were so excited for her to come back and just for her to go out like this, just kind of and I feel like that's going to be the case for a lot of these next couple of booths as we have a massive merge coming up, and I'm sure a bunch of double and if not triple eliminations coming up. So, like so far, I don't mind it. Maybe kind of underwhelmed, but it's cool to be back. The season has been really interesting to see play out.
Agree. I feel like watching this season is fun, but each week it's sort of like a heartbreak. You're like, oh, dang, I don't actually want each week to happen because I know at least one of my potential favorites could get voted out. So I don't know. At the end of each episode each week, it's sort of just sad.
And the thing is, I'm probably the minority. I'm not even been that upset with the boot orders so far, right? A lot of the I know like a lot of people are sad to see Jenna go home first, right? But when it was between like Ozzy and like Suri, I thought for sure one of those two were gonna be the first boot, and that's how their fifth time would go. Just like, I'm glad Jenna got her chance back. Played too hard, too quickly. You feel bad for Kyle going out the way he did. We just saw Savannah win. Mike has his White Lotus, right? So it's not been a horrible boot order. But yeah, the editing's just kind of over the place, but still been fun. But yeah, we'll get into this.
So yeah, we start off this week with Ozzy, who is mad about being left out of the vote from last week. I feel like Alyssa and I talked about this last time, where it's like, maybe not so good to leave a person out. And we did see it play out this week, where Ozzy is very, very angry. And I also think it's fascinating because we've seen Ozzy play so many times, and then in this episode too, we see the Cochrane and Ozzy flashback, especially with returning player seasons. Maybe people should be more aware of how someone would react if they have reacted and been put into these situations before.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I don't know how you guys feel about Ozzy's winning chances, but like he's obviously been a big player this season and he's got his advantages. So, but like stuff like this, it just reinforces that he's just not changing. It's kind of almost insane to see him act this way, 15 years later. And I get he's on the island and all that. Your emotions are high, but it is almost borderline comical just how similar this was to 15 years ago now, South Pacific to the nerd archetype as well. It's just like you gotta be kidding me.
It was so funny with the flashback, like Cochrane and then Christian sort of just like they like stood in the same exact position too, and they definitely like did the trick with editing where I'm like, whoa, they're like merging into one person. That's sort of wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we see Ozzy is more mad at Christian than Emily. It is interesting because last week we did see Emily try to spill the beans to Ozzy, and then Christian's like, no, please, like, be quiet. But maybe that's Emily's saving grace because Ozzy is more mad at someone else and still really wants to work with Emily. So I guess it wasn't too bad for her trying to spill the beans last week.
I'll tell you what, we'll see how far Emily goes. It is kind of hilarious just how like poorly she's playing, just spilling the beans about everything, and yet like she skates. Her name's not even coming up, to be honest. And again, people are getting mad at other people, and she's just kind of just falling out of it. It's pretty funny. That is, yeah.
True. I think it'll be interesting to watch going into the next few episodes, especially because Angelina in her exit interviews was saying that Emily is the smartest person out there. Like people need to be targeting Emily because she's so good at the game.
Yeah, well, I like I said, from the TV standpoint, I mean, my mama Flynn, as Mama Flynn would say, Emily, shut your mouth. It's been I don't know how she does it. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. Have you ever watched them play Blood on the Clock Tower?
Blood on the clock. No, I haven't.
Oh, you've gotta watch. It's on, like, RHAP and, like, Steven hosts it, and they play this, like, online game, sort of like Mafia, I guess, Werewolf, sort of like that, but not really. There's a bunch more roles, and then people get assigned roles, and then they, like, vote each other out, basically. So Emily sort of plays Blood on the Clock Tower like she's been playing Survivor.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So the next morning on the show, we see Ozzy and Christian chatting again, and then Ozzy is apologizing to Christian. They hug it out. Ozzy basically is like, I forgive Christian, but I'm not forgetting. I do wonder if this is foreshadowing, like, will Ozzy hold a grudge against Christian?
So that's the thing. I'm very interested to see where, and maybe you can kind of give your take about like the big players in this game. But I think it's very clear. I know they've gone to tribal, obviously, but that a Christian or Ozzy are big time players. Whether that's going to come to a head very soon, or later in the merge, or even end game, they're big time players. So yeah, I feel like Ozzy, while he probably I'm sure did go off on Christian the most back at camp, like I feel like he probably had like one on ones with everyone at some point. But the fact that they really are honing in on this relationship with Christian and Ozzy, and again, literally made a flashback to South Pacific because we know how important that was to that season's story. So yeah, we'll see where this goes. Again, I don't know where you feel. I really, it's really like kind of a flip of a coin for me. Ozzy and Christian's edit this season has been very interesting and up and down. So I don't know if you have a feel for where these two are going, but yeah, it's really like kind of a flip of the coin for me.
Agree. I feel like they could be sort of like frenemies, like, okay, work together for now, but I do feel like Ozzy might try to get one on Christian, especially because Ozzy wanted to like vote Angelina out to get closer to Mike White. Maybe Ozzy will want to get Emily closer to him and then vote Christian out. But with the merge, also, Ozzy's got a lot of friends. So I'm like, Ozzy doesn't really need Emily and Christian unless he wants to keep a secret thing going with Emily, because Ozzy could definitely get with like Suri. Maybe Coach is still mad at Ozzy and they could have beef. So maybe it could be like a Coach versus Suri Ozzy, and then you got like the Coach honor integrity people, and then like the Ozzy Suri. So then maybe he does need Christian. So they have the numbers.
There we go. Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying, right? I feel like again, they wouldn't hone in on all of this. You have what at this point 19 players to cover, right? They wouldn't hone in so that took up like at least 10 minutes of the last episode. So much on this if it wasn't going to play a huge, maybe not huge, but a big storyline going forward in the merge, whenever that may be. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
It was really risky. Last week, we were like, okay, Christian, maybe this isn't the best move. This week, Christian easily could have been voted out. Ozzy
Yeah.
wanted to flip. I feel like this could have been a really bad episode here for Christian.
Mm-hmm. Or played an idol. Yeah, he could have idled him out. Played an idol on a Angelina even. So that'd been crazy.
Yeah, so seems like it's fine for now for Christian, but I feel like I don't know, just leaving Ozzy out of the vote last week just seemed like oversight, and I think it'll have repercussions later.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've really been on the Ozzy train. I'm again knowing the minority, kind of rooting for him, kind of prove people wrong. And that's the thing; he's not playing well himself when he does stuff like this. It's just like, bro, what are you doing? But I do think in the end, Ozzy, if I had to pick right now, I know I said flip of the coin, but I do think Ozzy will probably get the upper hand over Christian, which I don't think anyone was thought coming into the season. But I feel like that's the story they're setting up.
I picked Christian as my winner pick after like episode 2 or 3 when we had to do our brackets, the like bracket that my friends and I are doing. I was like, dang, I should have realized Christian's getting so much screen time because he continues to go to tribal council that he's probably a pre-merge boot. But actually, now that the merge is coming up, maybe he can't be a pre-merge boot now. But I feel like he's
Yeah,
getting so much screen time that I think it's because he's going home soon.
that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, to be honest. Yeah, kind of how they did with Mike White.
So yeah, so we also see on the new Orange Tribe that Dee wants to work with Rizzo. It seems like they have a Sophie B connection, which isn't actually like discussed on the television show, which I thought was interesting because Dee is also supposedly friends with Charlie in real life. I sort of wanted to know, like, why would Dee vote Charlie out here over like Rick? Because of Suri and like Suri's trying to save Rick, like you'd keep Jonathan around for challenges, so maybe Charlie's the only one left, but it seems like Dee like knows Charlie in real life and through Sophie B wants to work with Rizzo. It just seems odd.
Yeah, so if you could kind of explain that to me a little more. So yeah, I saw what you're talking about after the interviews. So D obviously what she voted for Charlie, but she was friends with him and she's friends with him in real life, or but also with Riz Guide or Sophie B, excuse me. So like I guess she just must have in the end, which is kind of crazy, right? You would think, considering she did vote for Charlie, the fact that she was more closer to Sophie B's ally in 49 than Charlie is kind of, and again, it just kind of goes back. I feel like we're missing something here, right? Like, why wasn't that discussed more? Because obviously Camilla was like the big swing vote in all of this, but in this tribal, but in reality, it kind of seems like D, as we can tell, D had like the most, connections between the two, and could have absolutely gone either way from my point of view. So yeah, again, I don't really know how that play. Obviously, you don't know how to play that on the island. I don't know what ultimately did D in the end, but yeah, that is pretty wild that a Riz of no connections was able to survive over Charlie.
Yeah, I guess it's like you can't really show that in an edit because how do you explain like, oh, Dee knew Sophie before Sophie played Survivor? So maybe Sophie told her to work with Rizzo or like something like that. I guess like that'd be hard to explain. But I agree. It seems like D actually is like the impetus, like the starter for this like women plus Rizzo alliance. Because if D didn't want to work with Rizzo, I'm sure everyone else would just be totally fine with voting Rizzo out. If that's the way it's going, Rizzo probably wouldn't have been able to like get in with Suri if D didn't say, like, yeah, I want to work with Rizzo too.
So, fun fact, I crazily enough thinking this season's gonna have a magical winner again. I actually went with D as my winner pick, as a completely out there pick. And I obviously don't think that now, but I think she could be in for a deep run. And I kind of, now that you said that out loud, right? Rizzo kind of said it himself. These players you don't know about often have like amazing runs to the end. Um, and of course, she's trying to get with Sari. That's a big target. So I'm very, very, very interested. Again, I can't imagine her winning, but I'm very interested to see if D can indeed make a deep run this season to possibly cement her as one of the better players of all time. So now that I say that out loud, I guess it still kind of makes sense, but it is kind of wild if again it was just like a word from Sophie B that kept Rizzo in this game over Charlie.
Yeah, especially because we've got like the three On Fire podcast co-hosts here with Rick, Charlie, and
Yeah,
Dee. So maybe there's some like infighting there. You want to be the best On Fire podcast co-host. But also it's like they had a four-person majority from their OG tribe in Camilla, Charlie, Jonathan, D. You'd think, okay, if you wanted to stick together, that's easy numbers. Vote out Sari, Rick, or Rizzo. Or people could turn on D and be like, D's the only winner left. Let's vote her out. Rizzo's the person we don't know. Let's vote him out. Sari is a legend. Let's vote her out. It's like Charlie seems like small fish here. So I think like this episode's very interesting to see how it flipped onto Charlie.
Yeah, I guess when you say it like that, that's why I guess they, that's why they're coming together. They see themselves as like big threats in like such different ways. A complete unknown, the best to never win, a winner that they're coming together, and then they got Camilla as well, and they're coming together to take out someone like a Charlie who's gunning for them.
True. So we see Rizzo say, I'm not a guy's guy, which I thought was funny. He's like, I want to work with the women. And then they create the alliance of Dee, Rizzo, Camilla, and Sari. What did you think of that?
Yeah, like I said, I was definitely thinking it wasn't gonna last. I thought Rizzo was a gunner this episode. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, again, four total pretty opposite people in terms of personality and just type of archetypes and all of that. So it's kind of interesting that that's what Charlie was known for in his first season, and to be fair, Rizzo in a way as well. But working with the woman, and it looks in this case Rizzo got the upper hand. So again, we kind of talked about Ozzy and Christian, how that's going to come towards the merge. I'm very, very interested again, especially if someone like a D and Camilla and make deep runs. How this alliance of four goes towards the merge, if they kind of forgotten about, or this is a big time alliance we got to keep in mind.
Yeah, I thought Charlie maybe was going to get the upper hand too, just because the preview like showed this group of four sort of forming. I was like, okay, they're not really going to spoil this in the preview, right? But I guess they did. So you can never trust it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Every once I remember a Island of the Idols, right, when they were showing the Dean Chelsea romance. It's just like, okay, they're throwing it in there. It's like, oh crap, that she actually went home that time. It's just like every once in a while. Most of the times the previews start you off, but every once in a while the preview is like, nope, this is what's going to happen.
So we also see Rizzo cement his relationship with Dee more by telling Dee about the Billie Eilish boomerang idol. Rizzo tells a lot of people about the idol this episode. And I thought this was interesting because it was similar to last season, where basically everyone on the entire camp knew that he had a hidden immunity idol, and then it became so powerful because everyone knew about it. I feel like maybe we could see deja vu where Rizzo has now told like multiple people about the Billie Eilish idol in general and is telling people that he too has an idol. Maybe it could spread going into the merge next week. And then he just is able to do the same thing as he did last season, where people are afraid to vote for him because of the threat of the idol.
Wouldn't that be something? And that's the thing. If you're Rizzo, if it worked, obviously you're playing with legends now, but if it worked, you're still pretty much an unknown. Why not try to do that strategy, right? And if no one knows you, there's no better way to build trust. To build trust and tell people about these idols and advantages. And I don't know what your thought about Rizzo was. Again, I casually watched 49, but the credit to where credit is due. The kid is playing his heart out. So this is a again all these. I know I've been saying this about a lot of people, but I really don't know if Rizzo could be set up to go home very soon, or maybe possibly for a long run. He might. I believe some people even might think he's like a possible winner contender. And again, I'm trying to avoid like too much on power rankings and all that, but yeah, the fact that the 49 guy is getting this much screen time compared to some of these legends, I think has to be somewhat telling.
I agree. I think like if it worked last time, might as well try it again. See if it'll work again, and you can like just flex the idol over and over. Especially because, like you were saying, telling people about the Billie Eilish mechanics, and then also telling people that you have one of the idols, just builds so much trust. So I do wonder if it's like on purpose that he wants people to spread that he has the idol, so then it like gets around and it makes him powerful and threatening, or if he's just doing it simply to build those bonds. Because I feel like low key, if it is probably a mix of both, but if you do want other people to spill your beans so then people are afraid of you, I feel like that's like very manipulative and pretty good. That's like very sneaky gameplay.
I was gonna say that's like almost in a way like a new strategy we could be seeing unfold in front of our eyes. Like, it's hey guys, I got an idol, I could play it anytime. Like obviously it's been like every once in a while we see that come up, but like Rizzo could like if he does pull it off in back to back seasons on 50 no less, like that's gonna become like a new thing I feel, show you in a weird way, right? Hey, let's show your idol off to everyone and make people scared of you. And we'll see. I don't know.
I'm very interested to see.
Yeah.
So we also see Rizzo sleeping in the boat, and like the boat is his house this episode. I was like, is this comfortable? We saw him sleeping in there where like one leg is like straddled over like the middle beam of the boat. I was just like, how is that comfy?
His body's probably, so broken at this point. He's had like a week off from Survivor. He's probably just, he's already not a very big guy himself. So he's probably just getting used to the elements, I guess. I don't know.
Once he goes home, he's like, I don't want to sleep in a bed anymore. I need to sleep on the floor and in a boat because I've been out here for like 30 days.
Pretty much, yeah. Be like Russell Hance. Your life just becomes Survivor. My God.
So Rizzo's sleeping in the boat. Charlie comes over, wakes him up, and asks Rizzo who he told about the Billie Eilish boomerang idol. Rizzo is like, I just told you and D. And then Charlie is like, oh, I was talking to Jonathan, and it seemed like Jonathan knew from talking to you, so I told Jonathan. And then Rizzo is like, no way, Jonathan is doing that. You're totally lying straight to my face.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? Because I don't think Jonathan's like that bad of. Obviously, he has like the stereotypical bro archetype, but you know, I can see where Charlie's coming from, but it's also, but again, it probably wasn't the. I could also see where Riz God could see, okay, light bulb going off. Jonathan's not the type of player, but I don't. I still think Jonathan could be that type of player as well too. So yeah, probably I think Charlie could have gone better about that, and just in general. Again, I don't know what Charlie said about exit interviews, but it does seem like he's really been he didn't really try to hide him going after Rizzo this entire game, at least from what we saw. So, yeah, Charlie could definitely played all around better here.
So Rizzo doesn't trust Charlie now after that, and now the one-sided beef is two-sided because
Right.
Rizzo is then targeting Charlie. So at least it wasn't one-sided anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, right? It seemed like Rizzo didn't start gunning to Charlie till this episode, right? So again, I think Charlie just went a little bit too hard on the Rizzo hate.
Yeah, Rizzo wanted to work with Charlie. He was the first one to tell him about the Billie Eilish idol.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So we also see Rizzo and Suri bonding this episode. Suri says, "My boy Rizzo." Uh, it seems like everyone literally goes from being met on Rizzo to then loving him. I was like, Rizzo has the Riz, Suri has the Riz. I was like, this is a match made in heaven.
Boy, and that's what I'm saying. As someone who's at Rizzo's age, I just could not imagine if like Cerise said that about me. It's just like what a dream that must be coming true. Again, if he whether he wins the season or go home is next. What a dream Rizzo has lived this past year and a half now. Holy moly, could you imagine? My God.
Basically a dream come true. I wonder if Suri is thinking like, okay, this kid just told me that he met me when he was 18. He probably has that picture because like why would you get rid of the picture of meeting Suri when you were 18 at a casting event? She's like, the people on the internet would want to see us working together. I wonder maybe is she doing it partly for memes?
Yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, again, probably for me, but just kind of like what we talked about, like that is probably one person who probably such a super fan. I know myself if I was in Rizzo's shoes and I had to write Cerie's name down, I would just my hand would probably be shaking. Like, am I actually? There's no way I can write down Cerie's name. Anyone else, not poor Cerie, not again. It's just like so. I'm sure, like, just from a gameplay perspective as well, too. She has to see, hey, if anyone's going to take me to the end, one of, again, someone who literally took my picture and has in this super geek will likely take me to the end. So, yeah, probably for the memes, but also I'm sure she's got some gameplay in her as well.
And it's good to be aligned with Suri because she's super loyal. Like she doesn't vote out her allies if you get on her good side. So like you want to be that person in all of these shows that's like her right hand person. So to do that, Rizzo tells Suri about that he has the Billie Eilish idol. I think Suri is the only person on the cast right now to know where all of the idols actually are. Because Suri knows that Ozzy has one, Suri knows that Rizzo has one, and from Rick and Christian, Suri knows that Aubrey has one.
She's magnetic. It's insane. I'm telling you.
She's got the Sariz. She needs to be like Sariz God.
There is. I love. Oh man, that if that should be their alliance name. Now I'm really hoping that alliance goes far. There it is.
Yeah, I was like, Suri's magnetic too. I was like, somehow Rizzo is able to turn people from like disliking him, like Colby, to liking him, and now Suri went from like meh on him to liking him, and she knows where all of the idols are. It's wild. So I really hope it'll be like very interesting to see what she does with this information. Like she can totally blow people up because she's got every information. I think she then knows where every advantage is, I think.
It's unbelievable. It really is. It's just like, and that's exactly why I didn't mind Jenna being the first boot over Suri. I know it looked like it might be Ozzy more so than Suri at the end there, but it's just like she's magical. People said they're bored of her. She's just this is a perfect excuse. She's just chilling back, chilling, and everyone tells her everything. She's just that got that Suriz guys, as you said. That Suriz. It's crazy.
She's got perfect information, so it'll be very fascinating to see come the merge next week. Like, I feel like if I were her, I wouldn't tell people. Maybe you tell where one idol is, but keep that to yourself because you don't want like the idol to. I guess with the boomerang mechanic, Suri would want to keep the idols with Ozzy, Rizzo, and Aubrey, so you know, because you don't necessarily know who they boomerang back to, although she would know it would go to Rick, as Christian lied about, and Rizzo guessed it was Genevieve, which was correct. But if Ozzy gets voted out, you don't know where that idol goes to. Sari would want to protect Ozzy at all costs.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. So I think we're in for I've said like this person can go next or long run. I think it's safe to say Cerie's in for at least like a top 10. Again, I won't make any like big time predictions for a long, but well, again, why go for Cerie? She seems to be loyal into Alliance, has all the information. So unbelievably, I think we're in for a fifth straight good run for Cerie.
Especially with the merge at 17 people, if they don't do more like group challenges, like people wouldn't want to vote her out. Because if they wanted to vote her out because of the challenges, now if
Right.
they're all individual, like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's just the classic strategy, and people say, well,
So
don't fall. Yeah.
so maybe Survivor's rigged. They did a 17-person merge to help Suri out.
Yeah, I've always said, yeah. Again, I'm making my Suri love pretty obvious. I don't care if they have to rig a season to have Suri win, as long as it wasn't complete BS. Just all right, I wouldn't even be that mad. Like if like Ben's season, like let's say the fire never happened until this season, that one Suri, I wouldn't even be that mad. That's like hell yeah, I'm glad for her. She deserves it.
No, literally, in the bracket that I'm in, after like episode 2 or 3, we have to do a whole season, like who goes home each episode, and then I put Suri going home at final 6 just because that's how she like always goes home between like 4 and 6. So hopefully that's wrong, but I was like, okay, if fate is going to do the same thing, she's going home in that spot again.
Oh god, could you imagine like? Again, I just hope she's voted out normally. That's the thing, right? Like, I guess it would be fates in a way. She goes out crazy again, but that's it. Like, she probably just can't sleep at night, like knowing all the time she goes. I truly do think, right? I'm sure she'll always say yes to come back, but if she just gets voted out like 16-1 next episode, that'd be better for her than getting idled out once again, or God forbid, Advantage get in again. Like, good lord, could you imagine?
No, literally, it's like final 6, and there's like 4 boomerang idols. It'd be
Yeah, that's what I'm
terrible.
saying. Yeah. Ugh.
So Suri then tells Rizzo to build trust because Rizzo told Suri about his idol that Rizzo tells Rizzo that Ozzy got an extra vote from the journey, and then now Ozzy gave Suri the extra vote to hold on to. And then Suri says, "We just got married." So I really hope this doesn't bite Suri later because she is entrusting in Rizzo some good information, and Rizzo could easily use that to throw her under the bus.
And like I said, I'm just hoping Rizzo's like someone like me who just couldn't do that to poor Suri, you know. But we'll
I feel
see.
like Rizzo is like so online that if you someone that is so online would be like, I can't do that because the internet will hate me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I always try to put myself, in his shoes. It's just like, obviously I want to win, of course, but if I'm going to be on a Survivor 50, I want to play a Suri, I want to play with Coach, I mean, I don't know how Coach is on the island, but I want to play with Colby and stuff like that. It just, but especially Suri, someone like the absolute pinnacle of like a Survivor legend and that sweet person you can't vote out. It just, so I'm really hoping for that alliance. How cool would that be?
Oh my God, you know what I just realized? I met Suri's son at an event. So if I'm ever there with Suri, I can be like, I met your son, and then I have to work with her.
Yeah, Jared. Jared, right? Or
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So that'll just be like me and Rizzo. I'll be like, I met your son, back in whatever year. Don't have to be married too.
There we go. There we go.
So, speaking of Coach, Coach seems to be on top of his new blue tribe. Very true. He's got like every single person there aligned with him. He's giving out nicknames this episode. He gives himself the Tidewalker nickname. Joe gets Stone Bell Monk. Colby gets Oakbound Warrior. This is basically like the Honor Integrity Alliance, all getting nicknames. And then once they started doing this segment, I was like, okay, this team is not going to tribal council.
Yeah, and they're just clearly like the best physical team there. So yeah, I mean, I gotta say, probably out of all the people, I don't know when you started watching Survivor Rachel live, but yeah, I started watching David versus Goliath, and I gotta say, it is so surreal to actually see Coach live. Obviously, being a big fan of Survivor, watched his seasons, rewatched them, but to see him live and to see him be like virtually the same person is so funny. And yeah, he's playing like a coach game, right? And it kind of works for him. I can't imagine it's a winning game, but like if you're someone like Joe and Colby, again, like you can't expect someone like Coach to turn on you. So again, we'll see if this is a big alliance. Yeah, I'm sure the fan base wouldn't really like it, to be honest. But this classic in Survivor 50, we just get a flat out classic loyalty alliance.
Yeah, when we talk about next week's Mega Merge, I feel like the coach group will definitely be one of the big factions here. I was watching this episode with other people, and one of the persons was part Japanese, and he knew of the lore behind these
Oh,
names. So I was like, oh, like these are actually like from the like history that coach was talking about in the episode, and not just like random like things.
he doesn't lie. I'm telling you. See, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and Colby and Joe were nice about it. It seemed like they actually enjoyed the nickname and knighting. They didn't like make fun of him behind his back.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, and maybe they did off camera, but yeah, I see no whether the fan base likes it or not. I'll be very shocked if this big three guys alliance doesn't a loyalty alliance isn't a big part of the merge as well.
I agree. So we also see Aubrey going to coach. I thought this was a very good read from Aubrey, realizing, hey, coach is in the center of everything. I need to go like kiss up to him. She starts talking to him about respect, and she's like, I want to play with people that I respect. I was like, that's some really good word choice to use as well. I wonder if it is intentional. Probably, right?
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's definitely intentional.
So, Coach has a little side friend. He's got his main alliance. He's got Aubrey now. I feel like it is very good for Coach. And just in general in Survivor, you want to be nice to the people that you perceive are on the bottom, just so like they don't split the vote on you. If they are playing an idol, like Aubrey has one, she won't say, "Let me vote Coach out," because like Coach could be the person that brings her into a big group. So this is good for Coach and also good for Aubrey picking out Coach is the main middle person here.
So I think the person I've been most highest on is Aubrey. I definitely think they're set up for an underdog run. I actually think she will. We can even talk about that. We'll get the upper hand on Genevieve. I don't know if that's a hot take, but yeah, I think she did a great job of realizing where she's at, sucked up the coach, and I think that's gonna just win her over. Bring her into that majority alliance that I think might take over this like 17 person merge as best as it can at least. But yeah, I'm very high on Aubrey for sure, and I think she's look bad for her, but playing a lot better, and I think I'm very confident her making a deep run.
I feel like Aubrey will win over Genevieve, especially because Genevieve and Colby were like supposed to be close, but I feel like in the past few episodes, especially because this team hasn't lost, we haven't really seen Colby bringing in Genevieve into like this honor integrity alliance compared to Coach in the first Tribe Swap episode was like telling Chrissy how to like fix her game basically. So it seems like Chrissy is more in this alliance than Genevieve is.
Right, and it always goes back to the point, you focus so much on this rivalry. We're about to merge. You make Genevieve invisible, and then you have like you show Aubrey like making alliance, getting in good with Coach, who's in good with this majority alliance, like this he's freaking Coach. Like it just makes sense that Aubrey's going to win. But again, I think most people thought Charlie would win over Rizzo, so you never truly know. We'll have to see, but that's the vibes I'm getting.
So we've got the immunity challenge. There were a lot of big reactions to Mike White getting voted out, and Jeff didn't ask anyone, or maybe he did, probably did, but none of the answers got aired. I was like, please, just like with the others, with like Q getting voted out, I want to hear what people are thinking. Like, why are the reactions so big? I need at least one person to say, like, why they're so surprised or they're pissed off or whatever. Please just air one of them.
Yeah, it's like I guarantee most of them were like, "Well, damn it! Now I won't be able to make a cameo on White Lotus. Now, damn it! I was gonna make goods with Mike."
I want to hear that. Like
Yeah.
it'd be so funny if someone on the other team was like, "You guys are so dumb. Why would you vote him out? He could have made all of us on his TV show." Like, I want to hear that.
That'd be funny. I respect that. Can't win Survivor. You can be on White Lotus. Not a bad gig.
Yeah. So this immunity challenge, it involved swimming, obstacles. You had to get a bag of coconuts, empty the bag, finding keys, unlock a box, use a grappling hook to get sandbags, and then landing the sandbags on targets where only the first team wins and two losing teams are going to tribal council, where they're going to vote out the sixth and the seventh person out of Survivor Season 50. Too bad 6-7 wasn't a thing yet, 'cause it would have
Oh,
been
I
so funny.
yeah. I just realized I didn't pick that up to today either. Oh man.
I was like, Rizzo would totally have done, like, the 6-7 over and over, it would just been I wish it were a thing.
Yeah, he would have been. That's the thing. He would have just been at tribal council. He wouldn't have given a shit if he'd gone home or not. Hey, 6-7 tribal. Well, I'm gotta be a part of it. Oh God.
That'd be so funny. So I was also wondering, like, how did they choose who went to tribal council first? I wish they continued the challenge and like second place got to choose whether they wanted to go to tribal first or second, because it seems unfair to send like pink team first and then Angelina gets sixth place or like person voted
Yeah.
out, and then Charlie gets seventh when it could have been like Angelina seventh, Charlie sixth. Like, how did they pick this?
And that's where I'm sure the producers just know they have a clear like a more exciting vote between Charlie and Rizzo as opposed to you never know what's gonna happen, but it looked pretty clear and cut and dry that Angelina at the very least was in pretty big trouble compared to an absolute banger, toss up between Charlie and Rizzo.
Oh, that's interesting. You're right. It probably was editing. Like to end the episode, we want it Charlie, since that's more surprising than Angelina.
Yeah, because then in the past, I'm sure that probably was the order, but in the past, I know in some seasons, like they switched the editing order than it really was on then it really was on the island, just to have a more exciting
Mm.
tribal council finish. So yeah,
Yeah, I'd be low key pissed. I'd be like, no, I'm the seventh person voted out, not the sixth.
yeah,
I
that
want
sounds
to
so much better.
increase my
Right?
placement.
Yes, that
Yeah,
sounds so much better.
yeah, like 6 out of 24, 7 out of 24 just sounds better because it's like out of the 1/4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, almost to the 1/3 part.
Yeah, so we see Colby sitting out because apparently he injured his foot last time. Like, since when?
Yeah, I didn't. They kind of just brushed over that. That was interesting.
Yeah, like when did he hurt himself? How did he hurt himself? Is this karma for Kyle? Like,
That's
this was so brushed over.
I was gonna say, in a weird way, I guess it's good. So like, hopefully don't have to worry about him getting injured going home. God, that'd be horrible. That's the way the original Superman goes out, with an injury. But hopefully, well, it sucks for him. Hopefully, it doesn't mean he's gonna get evacuated.
That's true. I guess if it were more serious, they would have given him a segment, but it's just so funny. Like 2 seconds, Colby's like, I'm hurt. I need to sit out. That was
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that was odd.
So I liked in this challenge how every person sort of had to do like a part, like every person got assigned to one part of the challenge. Besides the sandbags at the end, everyone had to participate. So I like that. So if you had one person that sucked, they could have really slowed down the whole team.
Hmm. Yeah, that's how a lot of Survivor challenges. That's when it's at its best when everyone gets involved and adding to the group. Yeah, that's just, and then every once in a while Jonathan just dominates, but we can all be like
Yeah.
most people, believe it or not like Jonathan, believe it or not.
And I thought it was funny they didn't put Suri on like the sort of monkey's fist part with the grappling hook.
Yeah. Mhm.
So Joe wins it for Blue. Jonathan couldn't be four people and win it for his team today. So Joe takes it home. And Blue Team's wins. They don't have to go to Tribal Council. We have Pink Team going first to Tribal Council. The plan is to vote Angelina, and then the fake plan is to say to Angelina, let's vote Stephanie. But Ozzy Loki wants to vote Christian out.
Yeah, and I was in I was pretty convinced it was gonna be Angelina the entire time. But again, the way, and this is why I feel like Christian is gonna lose against Ozzy. Again, I couldn't believe that Christian actually did kind of give in and kind of put all his faith in Ozzy's hands. That could have, really backfired him. So I was like, holy crap, are they really gonna set up for a Christian downfall? So in the end, kind of a lackluster by the numbers tribal. And I feel like Ozzy realized he has leverage now over Christian. Not even like having trust, just leverage over him now, which is why he kept him in. And Angelina just wasn't really, seemed to be in good grace with anyone. But yeah, so while it was kind of like a tame vote, a lot of different dynamics happening.
I agree. I feel like here, especially maybe they're probably thinking they're going to more tribal councils. Like you wouldn't want to keep Angelina around, vote Christian out, and then piss off Emily. Because there's no way they're thinking they're merging next week
That's
unless
another
like producers told them.
Yeah.
So I feel like even so, keeping Christian around keeps more like status quo. Like everyone can like fake friend with each other, even if they do have a little bit of beef compared to keeping Angelina around. It just seems like Ozzy and Stephanie would never really want to work with Angelina, so you wouldn't really want her there, I guess. Ozzy wants Christian shot in the dark, and then Christian says, like, bleep head. And I was wondering what word this was. It was like S word head, F word head. I was like, what kind of word is this?
Yes, that's. I don't think Christian's ever cursed before either, so that would be, yeah, interesting. See at a fact. I must have missed that, but the fact that he said that, much less if hear without a bleep would be interesting.
Yes. What kind of purse goes blank head? Maybe S word head.
Oh,
But
it's
I was
probably,
like,
yeah.
dang, you're
Yeah,
saying that like right behind Ozzy's back is crazy.
I know. That's, yeah. That's,
So Christian also calls Ozzy a poly prissy pants, and that one wasn't bleeped out.
yeah. So, and that's what I'm saying. And that's the thing. He said all of this bad stuff, but like in the end, was willing to put trust in him to give him a shot in the dark. So, yeah, just very, very. This whole dynamic between Ozzy and Christian, like we talked about at the end, I'm sure is going to lead to something massive coming forward, but it didn't happen this time.
True. I wonder if how Ozzy feels watching it back, because obviously Christian isn't like calling him names to his face. So it's like, oh, behind his back is I would be a little bit butthurt. I was like, dang, I should have voted you out this episode because you're calling me names to the camera.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You usually it's the other way around, more of the bro-ish like Ozzy's talking bad about the nerd, but in this case, the nerd's just he's not backing down to Ozzy. I like it.
So Ozzy still likes Emily though, like we mentioned. Emily tells Christian that Ozzy actually wants to vote Christian out. And then Christian is like, why is this happening? Christian then gives Ozzy the shot in the dark, which I feel like is good. He definitely needed to do that here because I feel like without doing that, Ozzy maybe does vote Christian out.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of mixed about that. I just feel like you give all the leverage to him. I guess, yeah, like you said, he's not thinking about just trying to get to the merge. He's probably just trying to think about this team for right now. But when he was doing that again, especially after everything we said, he's literally like calling him names. All of this stuff doesn't know. It just like that might be your one saving grace right now if you really, really need it. So I was kind of mixed about that. In the end, I do think you're right. It did probably waver Ozzy more towards his side. But yeah, I was kind of 50-50 about that.
I wonder if Ozzy keeps it or if he returns it next time.
Because that's the thing, exactly that. There's nothing in the clause to say you got to return it, right? So, if which at that point is pretty obvious, especially now if they merge, right? It's pretty obvious. It's Ozzy versus Christian, and it's there's no doubt about it at that point. But again, now Ozzy has what an idol, an advantage, and a shot in the dark. He has. If he doesn't win that battle, it's like good lord.
True, especially with like 17 people merging, it's probably going to be so hectic. Christian, he can't just be like, Ozzy, can I have my shot in the dark back? And it's like,
Yeah,
Ozzy's got so many friends. Ozzy can go back with Suri. Ozzy maybe can get in with like the other old school people. Like, he'd be like, Christian, kick you to the curb. I'm not giving you the shot in the dark back. It would be funny if he stole it and kept it.
that's what I'm saying. He has obviously he doesn't want to use his advantages now, but he has the leverage. Like he can flat out say that. Oh, I have an idol. There's really nothing you can do about it. And I have your shot in the dark, an advantage of my friends. What are you gonna do about it, Christian? It is what it is.
It'd be crazy if Ozzy got voted out, like, blindsided, so the boomerang idol goes back, and he gets voted out with Christian shot in the dark, so that, like, expires.
Yeah, Christian. It's a catch 22 if he like orchestrates it. He gets out Ozzy, but his shot in the dark's officially gone forever. That'd
That'd be funny.
be hilarious.
So, we go to tribal council, Jeff is doing some impressions, which I thought were really good. He does Jonathan, Colby, and Christian, and then when he was doing Jonathan, I was like, "Wow, this sounds sort of like Colby too," and then they said it sounded like Colby also. I was like, "Wow, I'm on it."
Yeah, no. Say what you will about Jeff and at his age, just being the way he is. I thought that his impressions were pretty funny and good.
Yeah. So overall, Angelina got voted out. Sort of sad we didn't get to see more of her this season. It just seemed like she was sort of there in the edit and then she goes home here.
100%. Yeah. Again, like I said at the beginning, I've not been too upset with the boot order. This one has been like that's a pretty brutal one that she gets out this early and not much to show for. At least she got her jacket. It was a full circle moment at the end there. But yeah, that was tough.
Literally, I was like, there's nothing really. Hugh called her lazy. I guess that's it. The jacket moment here, which was nice that she gave it to Christian and Emily because it's getting cold. Like, okay, that's nice. The jacket looked very fluffy, like thick and warm. I was like, this is cool, I guess. But Angelina also in exit stuff was just talking about the editing this season as well. Just like it's so lopsided. I was like, yeah. I'm like, really? Angelina was just there and now she's gone.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. With all due respect to the people like Tiffany and Camilla, it is what it is. You guys, no offense to you guys aren't like these legends, right? But that's what I'm saying. Someone like Angelina as well gets shafted in the edit. That's where just like, bro, come on, what are we doing?
I think it'll be really interesting to see once we like know how all of this plays out and who makes it the furthest. It's like, okay, are all of the legends making it to the end? Are they just giving all of these people a lot of screen time because, like, okay, Christian's getting a ton of screen time. He's going to tribal council each episode. It makes sense. The people that aren't going to tribal council and they're getting a lot of screen time, are they like coach just because he's a legend? Does he make it really far? Winner of the season, and that's why he's getting confessionals even when his team isn't going to tribal council. I feel like it'll be very interesting to look back on. It's like, okay, maybe you're like Angelina didn't get much storyline because she's going home in this like double tribal council. So you don't really need to give her too much storyline because she's not impacting who the eventual winner is of the season. But even so, I feel like people that went out before her got more screen
I
time
was
than
gonna say,
her.
I don't care. There's no excuse. It's Angelina. I don't like if coach is in that spot. You think they would ghost him? No, of course not. It's just like, what are we doing here? She's probably even like right on coach's level. Maybe not quite, but like in terms of like absolute amazing character, probably the top two coming in.
And it's also wild, like Zach Brown getting more screen time than a bunch of the
Exactly.
women at the bottom of
Oh,
the like screen time list.
I'm glad you didn't invite me for that episode. What? Oh my god, what we were talking about then?
Zach Brown for 45 minutes.
Jeez.
So I think Ozzy keeping Christian around is smart. Less bad blood on your hands. Haha, Taylor Swift. I feel like if they did vote Christian out, Emily is maybe pissed off. But then also, like, where else would Emily go? She doesn't really have too many other like alliance friends out there. And Ozzy and Stephanie can't and don't really like or want to work with Angelina, so it makes sense to vote her out here. And they didn't know a merge was coming, but I feel like in hindsight, keeping Christian for this is probably even better going into the merge. So at least you can have like a fake unified front.
Yeah, like I said, I don't yeah, deny it was a good move to take out Angelina. Just a shame that she was so quiet this season.
So we go to the Orange Team's tribal council. Rizzo says this is Operation Bad Blood. Rizzo wants to vote Charlie out. Rizzo is telling Camilla that Kyle, before he got medevac, told me that I need to work with you. And then Camilla is like, that doesn't really make sense, but okay.
Yeah, that's kind of that's a very like okay, I see what you're doing there, kid. You're just trying like come on, dude. I know what you're doing. Yeah, that seems that very screams that's you're doing that on purpose. That's not very genuine.
So Lisa also tells Camilla about the Billie Eilish idols. Charlie then goes and tells Camilla about the idol too. And Camilla lies and says, "No, I haven't heard anything. Rizzo didn't say anything." Good acting from Camilla. That's good. I feel like to lie about it and let this other person tell you the information as if it were firsthand. So then, like maybe they feel more comfortable with you. I liked that.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I know. Because earlier we are talking about how like it seems like more so D in the real time of thing was more swing vote, but the fact that they did focus so much on Camilla in the swing vote over D, I feel like that's a pretty good sign for Camilla for like a long term game that she was right in the middle of this pretty pivotal vote before the merge.
Yeah, it seems like she's like the swing vote here, but also it's like looking at it on the episode, I was like, oh, maybe Camilla would vote out Rizzo. But then thinking back, you're like, okay, she's choosing between Dee, Suri, and Rizzo, like the women in Rizzo as one side. And then the other group is Rick, Jonathan, and Charlie. Like she
Yeah.
probably just personally gets along better with the women in Rizzo. Like, does she have stuff in common with the big guys?
Right. And sometimes it all comes down to even on these return player seasons where it's this and this and that. Sometimes it's just simply a matter of old school who you get along with the most. She's likely going to work with that group, of course, than she ever would with someone like Jonathan. Just is what it is.
That's what it seems like. It seems like, okay, she would have more things in common with the Rizzo side of things compared to the Jonathan side of things. And even like in 48, she was like, oh, I'd rather work with, I wish more like Nerd people were out here. Like, I don't really have things in common with like the Joes of the world. So it does seem like, okay, it makes sense that she would choose the women in Rizzo side of things here.
Yeah. Despite us thinking, despite the edit, I think feel like pointing towards Rizzo going home. It does make sense on paper.
Yeah, and then maybe hindsight, if you're like a merge is happening at 17, maybe she would pick to vote Rizzo out. But I think no way they're thinking that. That would be so crazy. So I
Could
think
you?
her going with the women is smarter long term because you're just more insulated. Like next time you'd vote like Rick or Jonathan out.
Right.
So we go to this tribal council. I feel like Rizzo has a really good way of like saying he's so great, like sort of bragging in a way, but also then still being underestimated. He's like, I did all these things my season. Like, that's why I got invited back. And like, he's technically telling the truth about all these things. And then it seems like everyone is just like putting him down in a way. They're like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, maybe you did those things. And maybe you're just hyping it up.
Well, that's the thing. As opposed to being like sneaky, who is this guy? He's just laying it on the table. It's almost like a complete reverse. Like, wow, you did
Hmm.
you do all that? Just like, who is this guy? Let's vote out someone else. It's kind of again, it's kind of interesting the kind of gameplay Rizzo has played these past two seasons.
Yeah, so I wanna know, like, is it purposeful? Like, you just say these things so everyone is like, "Okay, like, sure, that happened," or if it's just like, "That's my personality, like, I want to share these things," because it is interesting. It seems like the more he shares, the more he's underestimated and everyone just downplaying him.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a mixture of both. That's just the type of person he is as well. But like, it's working for him, so he's risking it all.
True. And speaking of risking it, Rizzo did not play his idol this time. And I was like, oh my God. I
Yeah,
thought that was so risky. I wonder if he was nervous when the votes were being read. I thought he would have played the idol.
that's the thing. Again, from Eddie's standpoint, he was just kind of when the third vote was ready, he's just kind of like chilling back, just like, okay, I got this, I got this. It's just like so, like we said at the beginning, we might be in for another run for Rizzo, just not giving an F about holding that idol. He's still in 49 mode.
It's so wild. I was like, I'd be so scared. I'd be like, let me just play it just in case. He kept it. So good for him.
Especially because again, remember after 46, we all thought it was gonna be a new era where like everyone would play an idol right away, and I almost think Rizzo's kind of gone a new direction now. Okay, they assume they're gonna play an idol. I'm gonna keep on to it.
Definitely. And it maybe seems like after this vote, some people might take him more seriously. We see Rick like patting Rizzo's knee and then saying good job after the vote. It seemed like Charlie, Jonathan, and Rick were all pretty shocked. Charlie got voted out. So people might be like, okay, dang, like Rizzo is playing.
Hmm. And again, it could be bad for him if like he has his alliance, but if those big guys like Rick and Jonathan go to like the big guy loyalty alliance on the other side, that could be bad for him. So yeah, glad he. Of course, I'm obviously glad he survived his vote, but I'm sure he'll be one of the many. I'm sure many names thrown out next episode.
Yeah. I thought it was also interesting, like why Rick and Suri didn't vote the same way this time. I'd want to know why or like how that happens because it seemed like Rick, Suri, like Christian, Emily were a tight foursome on the OG tribe. So how did they vote separately this time?
Yeah, it might have been one of those last minute type thing. Not last minute, but just not worth a telling. Obviously, the relationship isn't that great where it's worth telling Rick and see something might blow up. You got the numbers, just stick to it.
That's true. So, I also thought it was interesting both Angelina and Charlie got voted out for the first time. They were both final 3, so they never got voted out before. I do wonder if they played a third time, like if their gut would tell them different things, because I feel like once you have been voted out, maybe your mind and gut, like you start to see it differently compared to someone who's never been voted out before. So, maybe that's good for them.
Yeah, because if they ever do get come back, yeah, the only people who have been voted out so far before were Q and have been Q and Jenna. So yeah, so far we've seen some people getting their torture snuffed for the first time ever.
Yeah, and it was also interesting Charlie in exit interviews saying that he learned that Rizzo actually did vote for his BFF in Savannah at Ponderosa. I was like, dang, that's like sort of hard. You learned that, and then that was like your reason for targeting this person was not true.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was a little higher on not well, obviously higher on Charlie as a player. I think most people were coming this season, but it's kind of cool to see him come back as like the redemption he should have won. But he did not play very well this season. I think he's just a little bit too. Those demons of Maria got to him, and just now it cost him here too.
I feel like Charlie would be good if he played again. I could see him being invited back as like
Yeah,
since he was an On Fire podcast co-host. Everyone's just doing the Tony strategy to lower their threat level this time. Savannah gets invited back, Kyle gets invited back, Charlie gets invited back, and now they're like, I was pre-merged last time. I suck. Don't remember the first time I played.
yeah. Survivor 60. Here we go. Maybe 55. Who
So
knows?
yeah. Christian and Tiffany are the last people standing from their trio of like David vs. Goliath trio, season 46 trio. Maybe people guessed this. I feel like Tiffany, I'd be like, yeah, Tiffany's going to outlast Charlie and Q just based off of Charlie and Q's prominence. Christian, I maybe think Angelina would outlast Christian.
You thought what? Angelina went out last question?
Yeah, I feel like Christian should have a huge target on his back.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I think that's the reason why he kind of took Mara. From what I've heard, like those three actually really aren't that close, to be honest, in real life. But yeah, I think because he assumed people would assume he's already has a big target on his back as it is, and now having those two there, people assumed he'd be the biggest target of the three. So that might have been a big reason he gunned for those two as well. And of course, it just seemed like better for his game, and they weren't really that close in general. So yeah, he put matters in his own hands with that one.
And maybe it's like ego too. You're like, I'm the last person of the David versus Goliath three. Like, I'm the winner of the threesome trio.
Yeah, you guys were gunning for me all season. Took so long for you to get me out in David versus Goliath. And this time I went for you two instant. I got it. So yeah, he's got that. No matter what happens going forward.
True. So next time preview, we got the merge at 17 people, which is insane. I'm like, how many people will go home next week? It's sort of scary because all the previews, it's like Jeff with this blood moon, and then everyone's saying it could be a double or triple elimination next week.
I almost feel like because I just feel like Survivor just likes that one person merge. I actually still think they're gonna stick with that, but after that, it's gonna get completely chaotic where we have like a couple of triple eliminations, double eliminations going forward. But I don't know. I they just like that merge episode boost. So I do think one, but I don't know. At this point in the schedule, they almost already have to like after that they can't really slow down, so they might have to do two or three, and maybe that's the big thing at 50, like our first ever double or triple merge boot. I don't know.
Which is sort of wild because, yeah, like this episode ended day 11 and then they're going to merge at 17. Maybe it's a regular vote, then you go like 16, and then maybe you split into two teams, double elimination, 14. It's just like, you gotta, I don't know. Yeah, you gotta just start getting rid of people, which is really, I'm like, it's gonna be so sad. And then I feel like people are gonna get, if they do split into like multiples, so like two teams of eight, people are gonna get totally swap screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's the thing. I've really done. I need to do the math in my head, like after this, and see like how many episodes are there and how many days are there. Like, you know, yeah, pretty much everyone has to like at least one person has to go and like every day almost, going forward. So yeah, you're wild.
Yeah. So, do you want to make some predictions for the merge episode?
Gosh, what did of all the things? This might be the hardest prediction in Survivor history. Holy moly! Um, So I'm just gonna go with I do think they harped quite a bit on Ozzy and Christian. It could last longer, but I think that's gonna come full steam ahead. So I'm gonna go with Christian as the merge boot. And how funny would that be? The Dave versus Goliath trio back to back to back. Well, I mean technically Charlie in between, but you get the point.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be very interesting. Like, if they do a 17-person tribal or like splitting or like somehow 17's an odd number, so people would be left out anyways. I do feel like Coach is probably going to be a leader, and then basically everyone will be like a pyramid around Coach, where like you probably get Coach, Colby Joe as like the main forces of the Honor Integrity Alliance. From that, I feel like Jonathan is probably definitely in there with them. Stephanie probably definitely in there with them. Like that's already five people. Then maybe the other faction would be like the Ozzy Suri faction, but maybe just because there's so many people, maybe Ozzy and Coach can like be chill for a couple of votes and then like go at each other. Because if like Stephanie is in with the Coach Colby Joe group, I could see then if they can be friends, Ozzy would be in there too. Ozzy would pull in Sari, who would then pull in Rizzo. And then from Sari, maybe she pulls in the Rick Christian Emily group. And then Chrissy and Genevieve maybe are in there because of Coach and Colby. I feel like it's just like one blob alliance.
Yeah, you're making sense, but at the same time you're losing me. There's just so many pieces going on. It's like how is this gonna happen? But if I had to pick
Yeah.
one,
Or again, maybe Aubrey because
yeah, is that your pick, Aubrey?
go ahead.
Oh yeah, do you have like a pick for this, like official pick?
No, I could see Aubrey because of this episode.
Okay.
I would maybe say Tiffany because of the lack of edit. I feel like
Oh yeah,
if it's such like a crazy random episode, they'd be like, you don't edit the person up if people will get pissed off that they go home in a random way. So I could see Tiffany getting like merge, mega merged.
yeah. Make a merge boot. I like that.
Yeah, especially if Aubrey and Coach are close, but then Aubrey and Tiffany we see are close too. So maybe like everyone's just in the alliance.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's just a matter of like which pieces come to fruition. Which alliances band together, and I feel like that's when it's all going to be said and done. That's how the vote will be decided.
Yeah, I feel like if you're like the stragglers not in with Coach, you want Coach and Ozzy to be fighting, and then you can be in the middle of Coach versus Ozzy. If Coach and Ozzy are friends or can fake friend for a little bit, then I feel like that's bad because all the honor integrity people will come together, and that's like the entire cast.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm kind of leaning towards. We'll see what happens. Yeah, but I agree with you there. Whoever goes home, I definitely think coaches. Those guys are pretty much safe, and like I think a lot of people will be heading towards those big guys group at least for now, to try to save themselves to get past this crazy merge vote.
I agree. So, anything else you want to talk about, Flynn?
No, not really. Again, it's gonna be pretty wild week. Coming up with the 17-person merge. But yeah, thanks for having me on. It was fun to talk about Survivor online for the first time in like a year or so, 2 years maybe.
No, yeah, thank you for coming on with us. Definitely, if you want to chat again, even when Alyssa's back, it was fun to get a new perspective and chat with new people, talking and hearing your opinion about things. But yeah, let us know in the comments down below what you all thought of this episode. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think for Ozzy that he should have voted out Christian? And who did you think would have won out of the Rizzo versus Charlie feud? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you all next time.